Okay, call to order the March 21, 2016 meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Lopatcong. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Moment of silence. Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion, we will call on motion. No.
Councilman Beltrán.
Here.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Here.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Here.
Council President Fryer.
Here. Here. Motion to come out of executive session.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Executive session was approximately 1 hour long. The topics of discussion were attorney-client privilege, affordable housing litigation, and number 2, attorney-client privilege, Phillipsburg High School, Belvedere Road intersection improvement. The minutes from executive session will be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Okay. Take a motion to open for public comment, agenda items only.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You are open. Agenda items only.
Good evening. My name is Donna Drake. I have been a resident of Lopatcong Township, Delaware Park section for 26 years. On this past Friday evening, March 18th, between 5 and 6 p.m., my 29-year-old daughter was traveling from our home to her home on Lopatcong on Belvedere Road. At the entrance of the new high school intersection, a high school student pulled out into oncoming traffic and hit my daughter's car on the passenger side. He did not see her. The high school student had at least 2 other high school passengers in his car. They were leaving an athletic practice. The high school students were shaken, but okay. My daughter was transported by an ambulance to the hospital, where luckily and by the grace of God, she was released with a black eye and some bruises on her ribs and hips. I have traveled and stopped at the intersection for 26 years before the high school was built. Although there is a stop sign on Roseberry Street, this has always been a tricky intersection. Now add to the factor that we will have teachers, buses, parents, and our young, inexperienced 17-year-old high school student drivers. This particular driver had gotten his license on February 19th. Darting out at that intersection, I stand before this council this evening and respectfully implore to you to aggressively take the necessary steps to install a stoplight at that intersection. It is only a matter of time, not when a serious or a fatal accident will occur there without a light. The car suffered thousands of dollars in damage, but their parts can easily be replaced. The lives of those 3 high school students and my daughter Katie cannot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Agenda items only. Come on. Welcome.
Dominic Agesta from Lopatcong Township. I just came to listen to the proceedings tonight. I understand there's going to be a vote on the funding for the intersection, the light at the new high school. I just have a question, like something explained a little better to me. From what I recall originally, this funding was supposed to come from the state originally. What happened to change that? Thank you.
It was way before my time. So if there's anyone up here who might want to answer that. Apparently it didn't come. Now why, I don't know. Anyone care to make a comment?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The state is supposed to, is that the one that's supposed to give us the loan that USDA?
Oh, no.
Okay, I apologize. Due to the project and the size of the project, we have to go out for funding, as we are the lead agency on this. What happens is as soon as we collect all the funding and anything that is going to come our way from any other agency, we will be able to pay down the bonding. Actually, it's a ban temporary financing and our part as well. Is there anything else?
That's not the
No,
question.
we're
Oh,
talking
I'm
about
sorry.
prior. It's my understanding that there is someone new in charge at SDA, and their answer was we build schools, not intersections. In order to get this project done, they had what they had to get the high school built, and they aren't funding the intersection. And
Even though they originally approved it.
yes,
Yes, even though it was in there. And yes, that's exactly what happened.
and that's just my understanding. Like I said, I haven't heard that from the state myself. There are other parties, but that's my understanding. And unfortunately, you know, the rest of us who have to use that intersection need to do something about it.
Okay, I don't see any other hands coming up, so I make a motion to close public comment agenda items only.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to old business. First item, ordinance, second reading and public hearing, bond ordinance for the intersection improvements at Belvedere Road and Roseberry Street reconstruction project. Now we have to go back out to open to the public.
You have to open a public hearing
All right.
specifically on this item.
So I'm going to open a public hearing specifically on the matter of the Roseberry Street intersection. Take a motion to do that.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we're open now again to the public on this matter only. And do we have any questions from the public concerning this matter?
Olszewski, Highlands Way. Tom, I'm not sure where we stand with everything, finances, and are you able to once more explain to people who may have not been here, and also me who has forgotten, where we stand, who's financing what is not in yet, and the likes?
Yeah, we're going to do that. It's
Thank you.
complicated. It's hard to explain without documents. But essentially, we had really two phases of this. The first phase was where there was a split between the town of Phillipsburg, the Township of Lopatcong, and Phillipsburg School District to raise a certain amount of money. And that was supposed to be $150,000 for the school district, $100,000 from Lopatcong, $100,000 from the town of Phillipsburg. And beyond that, we had to, we also got a grant. Paul Sturbis was able to arrange a grant. Lopatcong got this grant for $300,000, and that's going to be also in the package here to use to do this. That's not enough money to do the project, and as a consequence, we have an overage that's going to have to be split between the three parties. And this overage is essentially $133,000 per party. We had asked the township of Lopatcong had asked Phillipsburg and Phillipsburg High School to guarantee to us in a very firm way that we would be able to get those funds from them, because we don't want to be stuck paying for this whole project. It's a contentious thing. It was just brought up that a lot of people think the state should have done it. There's people that think that the county should do it because it's on a county road. There's people that think that the school should do it because it's their entrance. So what happened is kind of a settlement of all that and a way to get this done for the safety of the children. Probably no one likes it, but everybody agreed that it just has to get done. So because we are the lead on this, because it's in our township, we have to essentially guarantee to contractors that we can pay them when they went to bid for this. In order to do that, we have to get a bond approved so that we can borrow the money need be to make the payment for this thing. And it's getting down to the point now where it has to be done almost immediately or we won't get it built on time. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have a little bit of a discussion on it and then vote on it, and so that we can facilitate this thing. So is that good enough? All right.
Yeah, Mayor, just to augment what you said, just
Yes.
to give you the breakdown on who is paying what, We have a $300,000 grant from the Department of Transportation for the project, which Lopatcong procured in 2015. Both the town of Phillipsburg and the Township of Lopatcong are contributing $233,333 apiece for the project, and the school district is donating $283,333. That all adds up to $1,050,000, which is what the cost of this project is estimated to be. We're hoping that in the end, it will be a little bit less than that, but that's what the estimate is at this juncture in time for the work, and that's why all these parties are contributing the amounts that I just mentioned to you.
Yes, Paul's numbers are in aggregate. I broke it down into the two stages.
I would just like to say that if for any reason there was a holdup, I would strongly encourage Township to consider making that a right-hand turn only until the lights are put in, if school's starting, because it's going to be a mess there.
I believe the engineer believes that if we get started immediately, we can get it done on just about in time. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it'll be a very nice, sophisticated light. Have we any other? No? Okay.
Take a motion to close public comment.
Yes. A motion to close the public hearing on the matter of the intersection at Roseberry Street for the new high school.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So now we have to vote on it? Is that where it goes?
Any discussion? Anybody? No.
Motion was done.
Yes. All right. Now, predicated upon our understanding that the town of Phillipsburg and the school district in Phillipsburg are going to do what they said they're going to do, I will ask for a vote on whether we should entertain this ordinance, this bonding ordinance.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 16-02.
Second that.
Okay, any comments? Any discussion?
I think it's important we do this with the lead agency. There's serious safety issues at this intersection. I just think that there's no reason we should hold this up any further. Get this approved and get moving on the project right away.
And I'd just like to say as well, the children's safety is first and foremost. It's unfortunate that Lopatcong has to bear some of the burden of providing this to the residents and to the other towns as well that do that will be going to the high school. But in any case, we have to approve it, I believe, and it's just unfortunate it has to come to the Lopatcong taxpayers.
Mayor, just for the record, the Township of Lopatcong received a letter, one from the superintendent of the Phillipsburg School District and one from Mayor Ellis of Phillipsburg, both committing to this project and acknowledging our cost estimates, and that when the money is needed, they will provide it. So,
And can we put those letters into the minutes?
they were received by the town, so they're public record.
Okay.
we received
Janice,
them both.
this is a short-term bond, correct?
Yes.
And how long would that bond be?
Depending on when we receive our funding, we could put our part into the budget we have to discuss, or,
Okay.
we can do a lot of different things.
Would you
So
say 1 year?
I'd say, yeah, the
Max is 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the town is going out for this entire amount, but you don't need to actually take that amount. You can take less if you need less. So when the contractor's bill comes due, if we get the money from the school district, we get the money from Phillipsburg, then you don't need to necessarily take the amount. But in order to award the contract to the contractor for him to begin work, you need to acknowledge that you have the money available. And I think Lopat
I
needs
think
to.
you have to take it down, but if it's upon anticipation that you do. All right, but you can repay it quick.
Yes.
That's what we try and do. All right, we have a second. I guess we can go for a roll call.
Councilman Belcarra,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Council President Pryor,
Yes.
Mayor McKinney.
Yes. Next item, approve a quote from Jack Lear Electric for replacement of 2 heat pumps and 2 air handling units in the municipal building at a cost of $27,466. Brian, do you have something on this you want to share with us?
One of the units is actually the one you're in. If you listen to it out here, the neighbors are going nuts. Everybody's going nuts. It's pretty much shot. They don't deal with R22 and all that anymore in that fashion. The units are almost 20 years old, 19 years old. They've outlived their timing for SE pumps and all that. I have them locked out into certain things. That's why you can't do what you want to do in your thermostats over there. All right, I've locked it out. So you can't burn them up until I get done with them. The other one is in the police station. Actually, the building splits in half down there. Yeah, and it's this side of the building, the whole side. They are running off the boiler heat. There is no air conditioning there also, and no heat pump there. So if we don't get them before the summer comes about, we have no air conditioning here or down there. Both of them are the same years of age. I have 2 quotes. One from our vendor that takes care of us now, Jack Lear Electric. Looking at the trains, 7 tons, 7.5 tons, same size, same everything. New thermostats, they're going to do all the work, 100%. They'll do it during the week. $27,466. The other one is from Len Jesimon Electric. It's $27,611. They will give us $1,440 off if we take down all the ceiling tiles and all the crossbars, but they will only do it on the weekends, which means you're going to end up paying us overtime to come in and everything else. It's going to outweigh it. All right, so my recommendation is to go to Jack Lear Electric to put them both in. They estimate will be 1 week to finish everything and be done with it and be out of the hairs. The only issue at the one for the downstairs is no real problem. The only one we're going to have an issue with is it's right outside the doorways, and where Irene is, we're going to have to bump her. We're going to have to move her a little bit. It sits right on the wall. All right, wall beaming. So they're going to have to take it and put it up in pieces. All right, and take it down in pieces. So we're going to have to protect her area pretty well. So that's why we would have had to come in on the weekend and different things. Plus the rooms that they were in were police officers' rooms, plus the court record type rooms. So my recommendation is Jack Lear Electric.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, on Brian's recommendation, I'll take a motion to approve this bill.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Do we have discussion?
So obviously, these units will be more energy efficient than what we currently have.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, this happens, it's 20 years. Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro,
Yes.
Councilwoman McKay,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Fryer.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, number 3, resolution to establish a dedication by rider for municipal special master pursuant to NJSA 50-27D-119.
Mayor, if I could,
This is the COLA matter?
it is, that statute that's listed shouldn't be listed on the amended agenda. That statute was there by typo. But just to be clear, the next 2, 3 and 4, at the last meeting, you approved moving money into the escrows for the litigation on this matter pursuant to the court order. This is merely the CFO's request. She wants to open a separate checking account to put this money in, so it's in a separate account. She needs approval from the state of New Jersey to open an account, and that's what she's asking you to do. So last time you approved the moving of the money,
Yes.
but she wants to actually put it in a dedicated account.
That's what this means?
Yes.
Number 5.
That's number 3 and
3 and
4.
4.
Okay.
One is for the municipal special master and one is for the regional special master. If you remember on the agenda,
Yeah,
last
okay,
meeting you
yeah.
had 2.
Okay. upon the recommendation of the CFO to establish two special bank accounts for these two purposes, which are co-related. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Zarcaro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Fryer.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. All right, so that's 3 and 4, right?
Correct.
Okay. We move to 5, a resolution prior to the 2016 budget adoption, temporary appropriation of 1/12 of the 2016 budget shall be appropriated for the general fund in the amount of $523,180.17, and the sewer utility fund in the amount of $124,338.33. This is because we're still operating on temporary budgets, and hopefully we'll get a budget in soon. So we need to do this to have the funds appropriated. Take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Zarcaro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Fryer.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. All right, moving right along, payment of bills. I don't think anybody saw this bill list before, so maybe if you want, we could take 2 or 3 minutes and look through it.
The Jorleys for $1,135 for, says CFO administrative. Was that supplies?
I think we're ordering supplies because we're not, the offices aren't geared up for certain things like calculators, and so.
And we were closing in December, remember?
So you didn't buy any supplies at all through the month of December?
Yeah, and I think that's a combination too, because they had stuff from the police department ordered as well. So I think it's town hall wide,
Okay,
if I recall.
okay.
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Again, when I vote on this, I guess it's check 3628 JMT. My vote does not apply to that. I abstain on that particular check.
That's for that small interest. I think so.
Pardon me?
Was that a different one?
No, JMT, I still do.
Oh, JMT,
I
you're still
do
working
it
on
a couple hours a month.
No, I'm thinking of building, the building one.
Oh, no, I sold it.
Now you sold that one. Okay. Has everyone had sufficient time to give the ones over to the bill list?
I'm good.
Okay. Now, I need to again remind everyone that we're not doing this according to the charter or the ordinances, and that we need to address that, because that calls for the clerk to do this. And I don't think it's ever been done that way here, but that's what the ordinances say. And one of my jobs,
It's antiquated. The towns today don't do it that way.
I know, but we have to change it. We have to change the ordinance, or we have to comply with it.
You have to change.
Yeah, it's just one of my jobs is making sure we follow ordinances. Okay, motion to approve the bill list, I'll take.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any discussion on the bill list?
How are we doing, Janice, with our bills and being current and up to date? Are we getting there? Are we close?
Yes, because we've been having to notice the bill list in between. We are
Yes.
pretty confident that the bill list section of purchasing is going very well, and we'll be moving into other phases of how I perceive and you perceive purchasing here.
Okay,
Okay, so we're getting there.
okay.
It's
So-
getting pretty good.
Okay, so the process is spreading through the town of how purchasing should be and putting in requisitions and so on.
Well, first, I wanted to get the bills paid to current.
And
which
then
is
we'll take it from there.
And then we're going, I think the finance committee and myself should possibly have a discussion
Okay,
on my ideas and your ideas and implementing them.
okay,
Okay, so
All
that'd
right.
be good, because it might incur a little bit of cost, with computer software and things like that.
okay.
But yes, we'll get there.
All right, thank you.
That's good. Okay, roll call?
Councilman Belcarra,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes,
Council President Fire.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now we move into public comment on any item. I'll take a motion to open up public comment.
motion,
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. We're open for public comment on any old thing. Mr. Imhoff.
Joe Imhoff, 240 Aurora Street. On January 14th, I presented to the township a request for payment of expenses incurred when I filed a complaint to compel the township to comply with New Jersey state statute requirements to maintain and record minutes of executive sessions of the town council. This properly submitted request was not addressed at both the February and the March regularly scheduled meetings, even though other bills were addressed and paid. On March 7th, the township received a certified letter from me requesting a response, and I have not received such a response. You might remember that I asked for a clarification at the December 3rd, 2014 meeting as to why minutes of executive sessions were not being taken. Indeed, if you go back to the February 2nd, 2000 council meeting, then Mayor Steinhardt called for a motion to approve the release of executive session minutes for all of 1999. Yet, for some reason, the municipal clerk did not continue this practice, which is part of the job description of that position, to record the minutes of all meetings. And for years, while this council approved minutes of previous public meetings, the minutes of the executive meetings, thus the history of the township as far as those meetings was concerned, was lost, and the integrity of this body was compromised. As I told Ms. Campbell after a council meeting a few months ago, all of this could have been avoided if the truth was told at the December 3rd, 2014 council meeting. Ms. Campbell then responded that it was her job to provide legal counsel when asked. But at that meeting, then Mayor Steinhardt presented his case for the neglect of the township to record these minutes. Ms. Campbell then defended the mayor's position when Councilwoman Snyder asked various questions. Now, while this issue is somewhat related to the case which the township has already approved for settlement, my request for the payment of legal expenses is really separate from that. The settlement written by Ms. Campbell states that the township accepts no admission of wrongdoing. Of course, Judge Purcell ruled differently. In June of last year, 9 months ago, the majority of this council, Belcarra, Chesla, and McCabe, would not agree to a settlement by consent order, as they felt that such a settlement would open them up to pay my legal expenses. Then Council President Chesla noted in September 2015 in an unrelated matter, and I quote, "Our job is to mitigate liability to the township," end quote. And she was right. My expenses as of last June were approximately $300. And yet, by not ending this situation 9 months ago when you had the opportunity, my legal expenses are now $1,750. $300 I've wasted before, but it is not like this German to throw away $1,750. It should be noted that because the township did not make an effort to correct this problem with civility, respect, and leadership, which were the cornerstones of the Belcaro prior platform, the township has already paid the Lavery Law Firm and the Carbone Law Firm a total of $7,557.83, and that was through the end of 2015. And yet I come before council and tell the truth, and you would want to argue that you should pay my claim of $1,750. You know, Scripture says in the book of Proverbs that pride goes before a fall, and the greater the ego, the bigger the fall. The initial and immediate response from this body should have been, "Thank you, Joe, for pointing out our error. We apologize for not complying with New Jersey state statutes, and we promise to do things right in the future." But when you don't admit your mistakes, when you act to penalize a 45-year-old resident of the township, we live in the house that my wife grew up in, for telling the truth, then there is no hope for any of us here. When you give more credibility to a person who I am told is a convicted felon, who supposedly sold drugs and then accepted stolen guns and sold them out of his father's auto parts store, when you appoint him to a township committee without properly vetting him, when you as an engineer and a legal counsel contribute to his political action committee, and when some of you on council accept political campaign contributions from that political action committee, there is no hope for us in Lopatcong Township. When I look at the minutes of the Rent Leveling Board and see where its chairman wants violations of age restrictions at Delaware crossings discussed in executive session, and after Ms. Campbell agrees to do that, the chair responds, and I quote, "Oh, thank God, I don't want it out in public," end quote. There is no hope for us in Lopatcong Township. All I have done was speak the truth. The January issue of Around Town internet newsletter published by the Committee to Elect Belcaro and Pryor states that it provides a wide range of timely and accurate, community-spirited information designed to appeal to all Lopatcong residents and to promote civil, respectful, and responsible municipal interaction. If that is what you want, civil, respectful, and responsible municipal interaction, then you will do more than what Mrs. McCabe usually does after a resident expresses something before council by saying, "Thank you for your comments."
And time's up. Don't forget.
And I would appeal to the chair to extend my time. Let me tell you that I promised my wife tonight that this would be the last time that I would speak before this council. Thank you. I'm asking that you pass a resolution tonight to amend the proposed settlement to admit the neglect of the township in the matter of executive minutes and to pay the full cost of my expenses in this matter of $1,750. You can move on this with dignity, and we can all move on. You have the opportunity to set a precedent here this evening, something that will stand as an example for future events. You can either say, "We will defend to our death the legacy of a past administration in spite of its effort to intimidate a resident who got up and spoke the truth and only asked for a truthful response from elected officials." Or you can act with openness and transparency, humility and honesty, and say, "Let's end this thing the right way." I took steps to do that in December when I dismissed my legal counsel to mitigate my own expenses. And then, as then Council President Chesler suggested in September, as being good stewardship of the town of Lopatcong for this council to do, mitigating liability to the township. Since you did not do that last June, you have cost the township over $7,500 in legal expenses. while you do not have a legal responsibility to pay my expenses, the moral responsibility to do the right thing is the far greater issue that you face tonight. And then, and finally, today I received from Ms. Campbell the notice of motion to dismiss filed by the Lavery firm for the township with a hearing date scheduled before the judge on April 1st. April Fool's Day. How appropriate. This is a flawed document because it says I agreed to the settlement. I did not. It says I had advance notice of the agreement prior to town council's vote on it. It was sent to my attorney at 3:30 p.m. on the afternoon of a 7 p.m. meeting last December. It says my intention is to prove that the prior mayor was wrong. Isn't that interesting? That on January 28th, 2015, 14 months ago, that Mr. Cohen of the Lavery law firm called my attorney and told him that the minutes were not handled properly and they wanted to settle the case? Or is it that this council has been wrong in actually taking minutes and approving minutes for the last 14 months? And then there's the claim in the motion to dismiss that my motives are political. You know, look, I'm too old to run for anything. I do not have a political agenda. But let's be honest. Everything that this council has done in the past 5 years has been written in asphalt. And that's shameful. I'm embarrassed by that when I talk to people both in and outside of Lopatcong Township. While Ms. Campbell is good, she's not that good. This 60-page motion to dismiss was not a 45-minute task. This document and the related court appearance will probably cost the folks in this room anywhere from $750 to $1,000. That means that this township will have spent over $9,000 in its own defense. Now, Mr. Belcaro is not dumb. Mrs. McCabe is a licensed attorney. Both of you knew that minutes needed to be taken. Freeholder Director Jason Sarnosky, who was in the room at that meeting, also knew that minutes need to be taken at every meeting. The municipal clerk knew that. Thank you for the opportunity to present my comments this evening. I'm looking forward to action, not comments by council tonight to settle this issue. I am asking you to do what's right.
Thank
I
you,
would
sir.
recommend that council not comment on this as it is active litigation. However, there has never been a ruling by the court that the town of Lopatcong did anything wrong. There has never been a ruling contrary to what Mr. Imhoff said. In addition, he did state he is not entitled to any money under the law, yet he says it's the moral thing to do. But even if the town were to lose and the court were to say there was wrongdoing, he would not be entitled to any money from the township for his legal bills. He acknowledged that in his letter to council. The judge told him that last month in the conference. I also find it very concerning that some of the comments that he made tonight seem to come from executive session from this council, and I would caution you all on discussing litigation with outsiders, especially the people who are filing suit against you. Finally, a motion to dismiss, as we discussed in executive session, was filed by my office. I never said that he had advance notice of this settlement. What I said was I discussed it with his attorney. He did not have the opportunity to review it before our meeting. In good faith, we approved it and told him if he needed changes, we would make those changes. That is what my certification says, and that is what happens. Finally, the settlement he speaks of is off the table, and the motion to dismiss is what is being heard by this court. So those are the facts that we have discussed in the past, and those are the couple of things I thought needed to be set straight, but we've discussed this in executive. If you want to discuss it further, I suggest we go back into executive session discussion, but I suggest you do not have this conversation here with him tonight.
Mr. Imhoff, is there anything you'd like to say in response to Katrina? Is there anything you'd like to, is there something she said that you're not in agreement with right now? and the 3:30 timeline
It
of
it was
that?
sent to his attorney at 3:30, and his attorney said, "I'm in agreement, I'll recommend it to my client." And I said, "Well, I'll ask them to approve it tonight. However, if Mr. Imhoff has any problems with the language, we'd be happy to reapprove an adjustment." That was the discussion. And I believe his attorney commented back and said, "I'll tell him that's a sign of good faith from this council." And all of that is public record because all of those emails were submitted to the court. And the 61 pages he said I prepared are just copies of emails. My brief was 3 pages long. That's it.
I think the biggest problem is that everyone knew the truth was not told at the meeting on December 3rd, 2014. Everybody knew that. Everybody knows minutes need to be taken, and they weren't taken. And this council sat here, and Joe, you weren't here. Tom, you weren't here then. But Mrs. Schneider raised some questions about it, but Mrs. McCabe and Mr. Belcaro sat here, and Ms. Campbell did not have anything to say. Some people have said to me, you know, he lied that night. He came up with his law book swinging, and I don't have a personal grudge. I mean, when that meeting was done, Doug came outside and said, "Joe, this is not personal, but I just needed to defend the township." Well, he was wrong. I wished him well. I said, "I hope you're a good judge someday." But this is not right. When something like this happens and you try to intimidate somebody to back down when he stands up here and tells the truth, that's okay. You don't have to settle this. You don't have to pay me $1,750. And evidently, since the settlement is off the table, you don't have to pay me the $250 court costs too. That's okay. But you know, I'll forget this pretty quickly, but the township will pay for this forever. I've seen things go on in municipalities and in churches that were not solved, and there was not healing that took place. And these things live with you forever. So in spite of what was said, I'm not going to argue Ms. Campbell's points. You know, I didn't see this thing at that meeting when it was approved. I came up after the meeting and said, actually, you came running after me and said, "Gee, I'm sorry. We just did this very quickly." You know, but the biggest thing in that settlement was that it says that the township nor the plaintiff assumes any wrongdoing. That was wrong. And honestly, I couldn't sign that. Now, that might just be the legal way you settle things, but that agreement is not telling the truth either, and I wouldn't have any part of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Well, you say we have to go back into executive session?
If you want to discuss this.
Yeah, I want to discuss it.
Absolutely. Are you suggesting that we say nothing at all at this point?
Active litigation and a motion is pending before the court on April 1st.
Okay.
Okay, any other public comment? Peter?
Olszewski, Hollands Way. You guys know Joe, right? You know Joe? He's an honest guy, right? Upstanding man. You know him. And our town is better now because of his actions, right? Now we're taking minutes of the executive sessions, which we have not done before. We are better off than we have been before, right? And I'm not sure why we're discussing, we waste so much money on our attorneys, and now we have a resident paying out of his own pocket something which made our town a better place, and he has to sit here and he has to stand before you guys, fellow Christians like you, and asking for money which I believe you should be happy to refund him. And instead I have Katrina sitting there telling you should not. I think you should. I think he deserves it. And not giving it to him sets a precedence for everybody who's a resident who sees that something is done wrong, that he may or may not have to fork out
money out of their own pocket just to do the right things. I mean, you guys know Joe. He's a good guy. And I implore you to discuss it and refund his money, because the town is better off now than it was last year. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You'd like to set a precedent for everyone that sues this town, we should pay their expenses? Is
No.
that what you'd like?
No,
Because
what I
that's
like
your-
is everybody who points out that something is being done wrongly,
I
that is being looked
I heard
at.
you. You're setting the wrong precedent.
Jennifer Light for 32 Jade Lane. Just really quickly, first of all, thank you for resolving everything with the high school intersection. I'm glad that that came to pass. I know that it's come up before. I'm just kind of curious if you can remind me, why aren't the other sending districts contributing to that? And I know that this has been discussed. I'm just asking for a reminder.
Probably because they get bused. We're the only ones that have children within a walking.
Okay, it's all related to the building
I
of
would
the
guess,
school.
that's my guess.
There's no way to,
It's the school district school. It's partially, the entrance is partially in
right,
Phillipsburg, and it's mostly in Lopatcong.
right, so it's just the
So we
location
get-
of it.
it's-
But it's being built for the school, so anyway, that's unfortunate. And I know that you guys need to discuss Joe's case, and you'll go into executive for that. Although I was under the impression that on several different agendas over the course of the past year, that you had submitted newly created minutes in response to that litigation for those former or past executive sessions. So I think that there's been some corrective action, so
Yes.
thank you.
Sir?
Hello, Eric Johnson, 361 Stonehenge Drive. So it's something completely different regarding the astronomical sewer bills that we have. I know just recently Joe had made a motion and it was approved to give a 10% discount for seniors, which I thought was a great move. But that reminded me of a conversation we had, I think it was about a year ago. I never followed up with it. I kind of lost track, and actually track that down my notes. But what I was suggesting is that over the last 10 to 15 years, our sewer rate has basically at least quadrupled, at possibly 5 to 6 times as much as it was. But yet the pool credit remains unchanged for the last, I don't know how long, it could be 15, 20 years. So what I'm suggesting is everybody knows what the pool credit is, of course. That is money that you're putting into your pool to refill it, which could be 2,000 to 3,000 gallons, that doesn't go into the sewer system, that you're paying the sewer bill for it anyway. So the credit was supposed to compensate you a little bit for that water that's not going into the sewer. Well, now it's a little bit outdated. Now, I think it's $35 now, if I remember correctly, which was fine 20 years ago, but it's not fine now. So again, I will ask that the council look into that and maybe make a adjustment of sorts to that to bring it up to today's rates.
That pool credit's only from within the last 5 years.
Yeah, the 35 is just a refill. It's a seasonal
Yeah, exactly. It's a one-time per year.
per year,
Credit.
and you don't empty the pool. Most people don't.
Well, even if you don't
There's a
empty the pool.
$75 credit for the initial fill and $35 to top it off, and it's $12.50 per thousand. So, you know, it might be $12.50 off. It might be
I think it's all
$15
more than that,
off.
but
You know.
so I asked the council to look at it, and maybe you don't make a big difference, but look into it because I think it's a little outdated.
As to your point on the sewer bills, I remember campaigning, that was probably one of the top 3 complaints that we got from people, that they're erratic, and people would get huge bills, and then they were just like, well, how did this happen? Now, I don't know if there's a problem with the algorithm, from the data feed we get from the water company, and sometimes it get misapplied and people get overcharged. I don't know. I know that we have a board that can hear those things, but I'm wondering if it wouldn't be a good idea for the council to consider having that looked at.
Well, I'm probably as familiar with the sewer bills as anybody, and I was on that board for several years, and the bills are calculated correctly. Most of the adjustments the board made were somebody had a busted pipe and it went into the basement and let out the sewer. The biggest problem is The township the last few years has transferred about $250,000, sometimes more, from the sewer account to the general fund. That's a subsidy to the general fund. Really kind of violates the principle of cost of service. That's something that I hope to wean the township off of. We really do not have a decent surplus in the sewer system. Portions of the system are now over 40 years old and need work. We have to build that up. Second thing is we, of our $1.8 million budget, approximately $1 million of it goes to P-Burg every year. So we actually control less than half of the sewer budget. So what I will be doing as part of the budget this year is looking at the sewer, but there may be some adjustments, but it's like a balloon. You squeeze one end, the other end goes up. So if we don't subsidize the tax rate, the tax rate's going to go up when you skim the sewer rate. My own personal belief is, in fairness, as a sewer user, why should I subsidize a big house down on Strikers Road who's not connected to the sewer? Pay your fair cost on the tax rate, pay your fair cost on the sewer rate.
Exactly.
So that's
We tried to do that last
my philosophy.
I think, plus the tax deduction, you don't get a tax deduction for your sewer.
Correct.
So I think we should start building that thing up. There should be millions in there, and it's been taken out over years. We wouldn't have to borrow the $3 million probably to do the work that was done. We would have been doing it for over 20 years. So yeah, that has to happen. I think that makes just a lot of sense. And, I'm glad to hear Joe is on board with that, because I certainly want to do that.
Now, I know a year ago you said you were going to look into it, so all I'm asking is to follow through on that and check it out. Maybe it's appropriate, maybe it's not, but I've seen my sewer bill. I wish it was still the same as it was 10 years ago.
I think that's totally fine. Maybe you can address that. What is the status of the
Thank you.
lawsuit with P-Burg? Were we overpaid and there's supposed to be, where's that?
That's been settled.
It has been settled?
Yes.
When?
What?
No, you're thinking, excuse me.
I don't know which thing you're talking about.
You're thinking of the bill.
Yeah, we had a
The
bad
quarterly
bill. Bad quarterly
That's
bill.
been settled. The lawsuit is active.
That's still active. That'll be active.
And no further progress on that? I mean, that's, how old is that now?
I spent a good part of my career on sewer litigation, and 3 years to come to a conclusion is not unusual.
Thank you.
Mr. Beal?
There was a rent loving board meeting last Thursday night, Mr. Mayor, and there was an appointment made to that board, and a chairwoman chosen and a vice chair chosen. There's one more person on that that's yet to be appointed to that rent loving board. Do you have any idea when you will do that?
We're still looking for a qualified person.
Still looking for a qualified person? Okay.
I'd asked that be put on the township website that we would, and we could get that out there.
All right, I would like that as soon as you can. I would really appreciate that, because the tenants really need that.
I personally agree with you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Ed Schuster. I could be wrong, I don't know, I'll ask the mayor or council. On the minutes of executive meetings, is it true or not that they can't be released to the public if there's issues that have not been resolved?
If there's still confidentiality, yes.
So a lot of meetings, nothing could be released, and there's probably some executive meetings where maybe a few things can be released, but these issues have to be resolved before they can be released to the public, correct?
Right. First of all, you have to have minutes, and then if you have them, then you have to.
Yeah, but they can't be released to
And
the
you should have a
public.
program in place where they review that annually or something.
But they can't be released to the public unless the issues are resolved.
Right, there's a lot of personnel issues, stuff like that.
I'm just saying, I mean, a lot of people might not realize that. They just think, well, why can't we see everything that goes on?
No.
We can't see everything that goes on. So maybe you should make the people aware of that.
Well, not after 15 years of not having any released.
Okay, folks, do we have any more of your comments? Sir?
I have one thing to bring up once we determined that the public doesn't have any more comments.
I don't think they do, so let me close that down.
Thank you.
All right. A motion to close public comment?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Engineers report?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now that ordinance 16-02 has been adopted by the council, it gives us the ability to move forward with an award of a contract. I had issued a recommendation of award of contract with a resolution, and that's a resolution that's required by the Department of Transportation. And I issued that report back on March 11th. So I'm just wondering when the council may be able to get together. And I know the extreme situation here is just waiting to April 6th, but that's 16 days from now. It's going to eat into the schedule for the job. Is there ability maybe next week to have a special meeting to award a contract?
Too soon, right?
Does that have to be advertised?
Did council, you won't need the notice, but did council review the email that came from Paul? Because you could award it tonight. He made a recommendation to the low bidder.
Yes, you did.
Even though it's not advertised that we're,
Yeah.
it's okay to do that?
Yeah, the bid was advertised, so all the
Okay.
people who bid, you're just awarding the contract and authorizing them to sign.
Okay.
Okay, Paul, would you just give us a quick synopsis of it? To the public?
Sure. Yeah, we had received an open bids on February 11th, I believe it was. I'm just going to find my letter here. And there were 4 bidders, and the low bid was submitted by Zucaro. And Zucaro is based in Settlebrook, New Jersey. After we received their bid, I interviewed Sal Zucaro, who was one of the principals in Zucaro Inc., to get an understanding of his experience and his knowledge on the bid that he put forth. I was satisfied with our discussions that day, that he had an understanding of the project and that his firm had experience in this industry. I also checked the number of references that he provided, and all the references came back indicating that they are very experienced in roadway and traffic signal work, and that there were no issues with their work. There was no what we would define to be prior negative experience that came out of those reference checks. He advertised Sal Zucaro in his bid, subcontractor Tiffany Electric, and all the projects that I discussed with some of the references. Tiffany Electric was involved, and their performance was deemed to be satisfactory on those particular projects. So it was my conclusion after doing this review, after opening his bid, that he's qualified, and we should award a contract to Zucaro Inc. for the project. And the amount of the contract would be $734,849.50. And there is a resolution that was attached to my letter of March 11th.
749 what?
734.
Oh, boy.
849.50.
Right, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. If you award the contract tonight, that allows me to get the entire process going, sending contracts to the low bidder, setting up the pre-construction meeting,
Okay.
submitting an invoice to the DOT for $225,000, which is 3/4 of our grant money. So a lot of things get put into motion.
Okay, and Paul's recommendation, I'll take a motion to approve the bid.
Motion.
I'll take a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just quickly, I didn't see the resolution. Does this need DOT approval to award?
It does have to recognize our action. So the resolution.
The resolution reflects that?
Yeah, once I submit the resolution to us, they'll approve our action, and then they'll process our invoice for $225,000.
I guess what I'm asking is the resolution subject to DOT approval?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good.
You good? Okay. Any other comments? No? Beth, roll call, please.
Councilman Del Ferro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Fryer.
Yes.
And
Yes, and I would very much hope that anyone here who sees anyone from the county that has any influence in these matters, that they petition the county, that they should help Lopatcong in this matter. That would be very nice. There's an election coming up for one of the freeholders. Maybe if you see him around, you might let him know how you feel about it. Where's the gelt?
He's a resident of Lopatcong.
I
The
know
other
he is.
freeholders are asking him, how come your town gets this money and the other towns don't?
because it's so deserving. That's all I have to say on that. All right, I would move now to adjournment. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
I'll take a second.
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 All in favor?
Aye. Are you